Noticing the beauty around and within us, we gather to light our chalice. We appreciate the beauty of abundance and diversity, and cherish one another and our earth.
Good morning, River Road. Thank you for that. My name is Kirsten Lodel, and I am honored to be serving as your intern minister this year. And I have to say, kind of true to that piece that Cliff just played so beautifully, all week I have been feeling so restored and rested and boosted thanks to last weekend's amazing River Road retreat at Seneca Creek State Park. And I would like to thank our organizers, our co-chairs who are right here, Jan Elliker and Diana Gelpatrick, and all who helped organize our wonderful retreat. For me, it was by far the most time that I have spent live, face-to-face, in the company of the actual humans who make up River Road. And I have to say, this is a pretty darn wonderful community. It is such a beautiful, beautiful place in spirit and in the way that we were able to connect. And so our retreat is a fitting segue into our theme for this month, which is nurturing beauty. We will be exploring for the whole month of May what it means to nurture beauty, even in very challenging times. And we have a really beautiful month of worship planned, including a number of important rites of passage ceremonies. Next Sunday, May 8th, we are so excited to be offering several child dedications, our commitment to a next generation of River Roaders, so we hope you'll join us for that. On May 15th, we will have our bridging ceremony for our high school seniors as we send them off into the world. On May 22nd, we will have our spring music service featuring our very own Cliff Hardin's original composition. And we will close out our month of worship on May 29th with an outdoor service right here on the grounds of River Road that will include our flower communion ritual. So we look forward to nurturing beauty together with you all month. And now we would like to give you all a moment to turn to one another and say hello and words of welcome. You can fist bump or elbow bump, bow, you name it, go to it. Such a beautiful noise, such a beautiful noise. All right, we will bring it back. We love that joyful noise. We love that hubbub, and we hope that you will continue it at our coffee hour after the service. There we go. For those joining us on our YouTube live stream, we welcome you warmly and hope that you will use the chat function to welcome each other. You are in this space with us fully in spirit. For those in the sanctuary, as you can see here, we have 2 candle stations, one up here in the front, one in the back by Rev Karen. You can wave back there, Rev Karen. And we invite you, as you are able, to light a candle in honor of something or someone that is on your heart this morning at any point during the service. For those of you at home, we invite you to light your own home candle or chalice as well. Each and every one of you, carrying all that is in your heart today, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship.
Let me tell you about the hummingbird. Once upon a time, the great forest of the world was burning. Flames rose, the heat was oppressive, and all the animals fled as fast as they could to the edge of the forest, to the edge of the fire, where they watched with sorrow as their homes were destroyed. Only one animal, the hummingbird, flew beyond the flames and found a river, and she scooped up as much water as her little beak could hold and flew back to the fire and dropped it. And then she flew back, scooped up as much water as she could over and over again, even though her wings got tired, even though she began to feel the heat piercing her feathers. She continued to scoop up just as much water as her beak could hold and drop it onto the fire. While the other animals looked at her and called out, "Hummingbird, what are you doing? Stop this, it's useless, it's a waste of your energy." Even the elephant, whose long trunk could have scooped up 1,000 times as much water, called after the hummingbird and told her, "Your efforts are a waste of time and energy. Stop trying to put out this fire. What are you doing?" The hummingbird stopped just long enough to answer the question. "I'm doing the best I can." That story was told by Dr. Wangari Maathai, whose tireless efforts to build up her community, to plant trees, to be part of putting out the fire that we often lament about in our world, will be remembered for generations. Like that hummingbird, remind us how important it is to nurture beauty, and how each of us has the capacity, whether we have just a tiny beak or a large trunk, to nurture beauty, to appreciate that which is precious around us, and to be part of conserving and caring for the beauty within ourselves and the beauty in the rest of the world. This story inspired this song. Hey, hummingbird, I'd like to join you as best I can. Our lovely world deserves my heart and both of my hands, giving my all, giving my all. You find me doing the very best that I can. Child of the stars, I'd love to join you as best I can. Life as an art requires my heart and both of my hands, giving my all, giving my all. You find me doing the very best that I can. I'm always doing the very best that I can.
Yet another reason to be grateful for our friend Leah Morris, who's recorded a story and a song each month to match our monthly worship themes. How often do we all feel like a tiny little creature doing one tiny little part to put out a flame that is bigger than us all? We are doing what we can. And as our children and youth and teachers and their companions go to your classes, know that wherever you are doing exactly what we're doing in this space, the very best we can with what we've got to protect this beautiful world. Teachers, students, guides, please feel free to go to your classes as you're able. Everything we do together is an expression of how we want to be together. And one of the things we do so well here is put on a big event. To highlight the biggest of big events, I am delighted to invite up Susan Messina and Laura Akinbami, our Bazaar co-chairs, for our Bazaar moment.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. We're so deeply grateful that after a long 2.5-year wait, the River Road Bazaar is back. Yeah. Many volunteers have already been working behind the scenes since January to get us ready for the biggest community builder and fundraiser. In order for the Bazaar on June 4th to be a success, we need your help in 3 key areas: spreading the word, volunteering, and donating.
So after such a long break between bazaars and the change of season from fall to spring, we really need everyone's help in spreading the word. If we don't have shoppers, we don't have a bazaar. There's only so much we can buy from each other, right? We need other people. So every River Road household this week is going to receive a mailing with really useful information about volunteering and donating, but also it will include flyers in English and Spanish that we encourage you to copy and post in your neighborhoods and grocery stores and such as you can. You will also receive suggested language for listserv or social media posts and a paragraph you can email to your friends. I see Diana nodding. You created that to begin with. Thank you. So please take a few moments to do these things and help us spread the word.
Also, of course, we invite you to volunteer. We need your time during setup week. If on Saturday, May 28th, we need folks to really set up the tables and shelves and transform the space into a giant sales area. We need people later that afternoon and through the entire next week to sort and display the abundance of donations. And of course, on Bazaar Day, Saturday, June 4th, we need cashiers, parking and security workers, and at the end, fresh legs to take the whole thing down again. So come see me on the plaza after the service today. You can also watch your e-weekly for the volunteer link, or visit the Bazaar page on the website. There are so many opportunities and flexible options. Please come find your place to volunteer, and if you're new, this is a fantastic opportunity to involve the whole family in this joyous RRUUC tradition.
So many of us have been storing up treasures since 2019, just waiting for the bazaar. So the mailing will detail exactly what we need and where to drop it off and when. We also have copies of that flyer at the bazaar table on the plaza. Please remember, no books or music department this year. We are accepting children's books and young adult only, but no adult books. Thank you.
And lastly, please know that we're working with the COVID-19 committee to maximize safety. Masks will be required of all volunteers and shoppers, and there will be no eating in the building. We'll have baked goods and snacks for sale on the front plaza. We are committed to a fun, a safe, and a profitable bazaar.
And truly, lastly, if you have any questions, again, please come to the bazaar table, see the information that we're posting in the e-weekly and on the website, or you can email us at bazaar@rruuc.org. This will be the 47th bazaar, and we look forward to working and growing together again as a community. Thank you.
Community happens because we build it together. I do hope that you will consider donating, spreading the word, and of course volunteering. I will be taking up my usual volunteer post in the main bag check area, right out there, whilst wearing my Bazaar t-shirt which says, "Everyone remain calm, I'm a minister." And as far as I can tell, that t-shirt has not yet caused anyone to remain calm. But we need each and every one of you to build something powerful together, especially given that this year's bazaar is an in-reach and an outreach. Proceeds from the bazaar will go half to building and supporting our community here at River Road and half to the building fund for our partner congregation at Scotland AME Zion, who lost their building in a tragic flood in 2019. We are supporting our sustainability and their rebirth. What a gift to share that together. And if you see both shoppers, folks donating, and volunteers from Scotland AME Zion, I am so grateful that two congregations can work together to build something powerful that lifts us all up. Thank you.
We now turn our focus to the joys and concerns of our congregational community and of our world. Reverend Nancy is going to help us with our candle lighting. Today, May 1st, we honor International Workers' Day and all of our partners in the labor movement, collectively organizing for the dignified treatment, the fair compensation, and the full protection of all those laborers whose work makes our lives possible. We extend our blessings to our Muslim siblings as we near the close of Ramadan, the holiest month in Islam, and we prepare to celebrate Eid. We acknowledge in this community that there is no abstraction when it comes to gun violence. There is no other in some different place. There is only one interconnected suffering community close to home and far away. This week, we lift up the people injured, traumatized, and afraid after a shooting in Van Ness last weekend while we were at our retreat. For the students and teachers at the Burke School, including members of this very congregation. For the residents along the Connecticut Avenue corridor. For all who were and are afraid, we lift up our hearts. This week, we celebrate the full unfolding of life, even in the midst of such suffering as we've so recently experienced. From our youngest baby, Ethan's light, born into his family of Suzanne, Michael, and Emma just 2 weeks ago, to the wedding of Grace Vanderveer and Peter Noon just yesterday, we have so many new beginnings still among us. We offer an update as Patrina Hollingsworth's cancer treatment continues. Patrina was recently hospitalized after surgical complications and is grateful for the support she's already receiving from friends and family, especially Jeff, who is up running our tech today. And while the Hollingsworths are all set with most of their tangible needs right now, they welcome cards and letters from their River Road community. We honor the life of Mary Rose Curtis, who passed away in March 2021 at the age of 94, and whose husband, James Curtis, was the minister at RRUUC from 1969 to 1973. Her service is scheduled to be held Saturday, May 28th at 2 p.m. at the UU Congregation of Charlottesville. Mary Rose was active in River Road social justice activities until moving to Charlottesville to be near her family. She was a loving and generous person and an inspiration to many due to her joyful and giving nature. And we offer an update from Evelyn Jacob that Bruce Davis, our wonderful Earth Ministry co-chair, had a bad fall on Monday, injuring both his right ankle and left kneecap. Surgeries for both injuries went well. He'll be in acute rehab for at least a week and off his feet for 6 weeks. And he would welcome cards sent to their home address. Finally, this past week from Sundown Tuesday to Sundown Wednesday marked the solemn remembrance of Yom HaShoah, or Holocaust Remembrance Day in Israel, a time of collective mourning and remembrance, honoring the memory of the 6 million Jews killed in the Holocaust. And it is a time when we renew our commitment to never, ever forget, to always stay vigilant, particularly when we sense that fascism is on the rise, and we commit to resist all forces that would seek to debase and dehumanize. And in this spirit, we continue to share our prayers for peace and our resistance to the war in Ukraine and to all those in our world who are suffering right now from the injustice of war.
Our prayer today is a poem of blessing for an ordinary day. Imagine not just the blessings that you need, the blessings that you seek today, but the blessings you will need on Monday, tomorrow, when you wake up still in the midst of it all, with the world calling and beckoning and frightening and full of beauty. Your Monday blessing, a prayer by my colleague, the Reverend Bob Janis Dillon. Your Monday blessing. I'll make a pact with you. Today, we make the world more beautiful. Let us compose epic poems out of dinner straws and draw breath as a gang sign we share. The sky is full of pictures that can teach us on this Monday afternoon. Someone has to define the mountains, or else they will just stand there forever unsaid. Let us cast our bodies in any production that is still unfinished and averse to being perfect. Today, we take up the work of giving away our hearts while they are still laughing. The soul is an able farmer who will not be spoon-fed easy aphorisms. Get up and milk the sacred cows today. Mouths talk with tongue-sized truths while servant hands reap the harvest. Let us be a little too kind today. Let us bake bread from the flowers that the soldiers in the square have always carried in their secret compartments, for a moment just like this, when they knew the people would be hungry. Let us bus our ears with high pronouncements. You must have passed the exit back there, dear one, because half-assed was yesterday. Today is for our whole hearts. When all the wars have gone home from their naps, it is time for us to grow up. It is time for the wise ones to let ourselves play. Let us be willing to be the mid-level managers of everything glorious. You need to be pulling double shifts right now at the assembly line of the numinous. It is not a hobby. It is a job to find joy in these days. It is a calling. It is a whole world gathering in the interstellar space of your lungs to sing a song of praise, so I will make a pact with you. Today, we will make this world more beautiful. Today, we will look each other almost in the eye and feel the inward beating of our still beating hearts. Today, we will look at each other and say, I'm in.
It is so wonderful to hear all of our voices lifted in song. Part of what is so special about congregational life is that we, the members of this community, who have chosen to be here, and we choose it over and over again, we make this place what it is. And as part of that, we finance it ourselves. We literally have a vested interest in this place. We are so grateful for your weekly contributions to what for the last 2 years has been exclusively a virtual collection plate. And for those who would like to continue to give virtually, including those joining us at home, that is fully available to you. But for those here in the sanctuary, we're pleased today to also reintroduce the opportunity to give an offline gift with this very fancy-dancy box you'll see in the back here. You are welcome to put an old-fashioned check or some cash back there at any point during the service or afterwards, and we may just get around to passing out baskets again in the coming weeks. But again, for those who would also like to give online, we always have our text to give number available, 73256. And you can also go onto our website and click on that bright blue button on the top right that says Give Online. It's right on the landing page. The offering will now be very gratefully received.
It is said that the famous uber intellectual and father of liberal philosophy, John Stuart Mill, started studying Greek when he was 3 years old. It is said that he read Latin at 7. By 12, he had completed what would be for normal people a graduate level course in the natural sciences and the history of Western thought. By 20, he was rather unsurprisingly, in the grip of a nervous breakdown. This breakdown, he later reflected, was, he said, the direct result of his early analytical education, which cultivated in him all the subjects of importance necessary to shape the character of an upstanding young man of consequence. All subjects, that is, save one. There was no poetry in his curriculum. There was no room for the sublime. There was no sense of beauty itself coursing through the disciplines of that learned mind, animating all of that knowledge with meaning that gives meaning to it all. There was no grace that took the facts and transformed them into food for the soul. John Stuart Mill said in later life that he learned everything in his young life and felt nothing, leaving him, in his words, stranded at the commencement of my voyage with a well-equipped ship and a rudder, but no sail. There was no beauty there. And it is, beauty that must be the sail that catches the winds of a human life and carries it forward with purpose and wholeness and grace. It is beauty that has the power to salve what is most tender, beauty that has the power to stop us in our tracks, beauty that can cause us to momentarily get out of the center of our own story and behold something so grand, so lovely, so commanding that it can take your breath away. The larger reality that we live in, it includes the fact that no logical form of argumentation, no finely crafted and coherent retort can serve to lighten the trigger finger or reverse the steady march toward one's own soul's deep self-deceptions. No argument can win the day when the opponent is hate and fear itself. It does not matter how articulate we are, how well-grounded our stories. Often it feels like nothing we can teach each other can convince us not to cause each other and the world more pain. But beauty is a great disruptor. Beauty, you see, it disrupts even the deadliest of human agendas. Beauty breaks in like light in a darkened room when logic and argumentation cannot. Beauty lays a claim on us that even our least generous and most fearful selves cannot deny. Beauty will save us in the end. Not from hell, not from suffering, which is, after all, part of the deal of being human, but perhaps, and most importantly, beauty might save us in the end from self-destruction. Beauty can save us. There is a bit of good news in this. Good news I have carried around with me for years. In fact, you've heard it before, because I re-preach this story in one way or another every 3 years because it still needs to be said. We need to be reminded there is good news. We need to retell the stories of the miracles. There is a grace that is available to us, whether or not we believe in such woo-woo mystical things as grace or not. There remains, unearned and still breaking open, a grace that can transform. I learned of this saving power of beauty, this grace that can transform, when I came to know a woman who had suffered astounding crises in her life. Yet somehow she remained one of those incredibly present, brave, loving, real humans, even in the face of it all. Some of you know those people. Some of them are coming to your mind right now. Some of you are those people. Folks who don't so much overcome their suffering as suffuse that suffering with grace. Sometimes from sources within themselves, sometimes from sources none of us will ever fully understand. This particular woman I knew, she was a social worker. She spent her days helping troubled kids find a way out of no way. She spent her Saturdays walking labyrinths with great calm and care, and she spent her Sundays, bless her heart, wearing an apron at a Unitarian Universalist congregation, filling the coffee pots again and again for her fellow searchers. And we were talking one day about her early life, a childhood marked by poverty and hunger and regular abuse in a number of forms, mostly at the hands of her own father. And as we talked, she kept saying wise things, like social workers say, about the generational perpetuation of abuse, about cycles of suffering begetting cycles of suffering, and how such cycles can catch a whole family system in its power. She told me that her father was himself a product of generational and systemic abuse. He had beaten and belittled her whole life, and he had in turn been beaten and belittled for most of his. It was a pattern that continued, a horrible inheritance. It never stopped, really. Though she separated herself from him, he could never see what he was doing or come out from under the cloud. And while she never forgave him exactly, even then, she could place that abuse she felt within the broader context of a compounding tragedy of generations. And talking to her, it hit me that here across from me in this holy moment was a person whose life story somehow by hook and by crook contained a miracle we are all in need of. Because if pain begets pain and abuse begets abuse, here finally was one person among generations of familial suffering who had broken out, who had broken the cycle. What is it that broke the cycle in you, I asked? What is more powerful than pain? How, I wanted to know, did this one amazing human have the capacity to break the constant perpetuation of suffering and violence and fear? How is it that you are so different from the one who hurt you because others hurt him, I asked. And I will never forget her answer. I can still see beauty, she said, and he can't. I can still see beauty, and he can't. Salvation. Not just for her as an individual, but for her children and for her children's children. Salvation of generations. A balm upon the soul of countless others. She could quietly and gently attribute all of that to the saving grace, the healing power of beauty itself. I can still see beauty, she said, and it saved her. Beauty saved her children. Not supernaturalism, not substitutionary atonement or the suffering of any being on earth or on heaven for her sake, but the experience of encountering the beauty in this world over and over and over again, even amid the ashes of everything that has burned all around us. To know that beauty, to claim it, to articulate it, it changed her, it saved her soul, and possibly her life, became the sail on which she could move forward, gave her the strength we are all reaching out for right now. And that, if not miraculous by the textbook definition, is all the miracle a person of faith could ever hope for. I've been pondering that miracle and others besides, and wondering what it is about beauty that takes us outside of ourselves, that causes us to put our egos and our wounds and our brokenness aside just long enough to behold something grander than our own designs. Beauty, you might imagine, it's not without its detractors and complexity. It can be a shallow and petty distraction from our greater work in the world. It can be an expression of dominant cultural norms about how we're supposed to look and how we're supposed to be that shuts most of us out. If you want me to drop right out of a conversation, just start talking about standard beauty norms for women in this society. I will leave. And yet, philosopher Elaine Scarry, who was moved by a beauty of a palm tree she saw on her porch, she wrote an entire book to rehabilitate the concept of beauty. She said, as the primary source we have for justice and for healing. In it, she says, the primary characteristic of beauty as a human being experiences it is the fact that beauty self-duplicates. It instills in us a desire to share it. It is inherently expansive. There is a reason that we human beings line up for hours to behold Michelangelo's David, and it is not just because that giant marble statue is so famous. We draw out our smartphones to capture images of the Mona Lisa or a brooding ancient edifice of a Mayan temple or the sublime lines of a crow's wing in flight, and we share it. We sketch it. We put it out on social media. We speak about it, this beauty we have seen, the curving of the feather, the way that the black wings turn purple and blue in the light, the effortless rise of wingtip to wind. We share the beauty we have known, and just by speaking those words, that beauty of one bird, of one place, of one person, it spreads. It replicates. It instills in the human creature the desire to share it more. We do these things, helping to replicate the beauty we have seen, because the natural human response to beauty is to expand it. Beauty gives rise to beauty, which in turn gives rise to beauty. We copy and we copy and we copy that which moves us to experience grace. And that right there is what might save us. Once experienced beauty can't just be shoved back in the box. It unseats the neurotic ego as the center of the self and instead puts the beautiful thing beheld in the middle of the story. And for once, we are not preening, nor worrying, nor fussing, but bearing witness to a woman with bright flashing eyes, to a man pushing 40 and just now graying at the temples, to a grandfather whose linen shirt is so worn it tears like paper, and the gender fabulous queer kid who defies all norms and sparkles when they dance away from everyone else's expectations. And when you see that beauty, not just in culturally preordained ways, but in ways that break your heart and your assumptions wide open, it runs an action on you. It changes you. It calls you to live in such a way that that beauty you have known might be thriving and held in good and tender care. Which is not to say that our culture has fully come to grips with the power of beauty, which is not to say that what we call beauty and speak of as beautiful is in fact always transformative. But now, in these days, as the bullets fly in ordinary places, and democracy shakes at its foundations, and just 2 more degrees of global temperature rise means the end of so much we hold dear. Now, more than ever, the beauty that saves us is a beauty that demands expansion instead of ownership. Beauty you can't claim as your own or hold on to or hoard. The beauty that will save us is a beauty that is not performed for someone else's eyes, but encountered so profoundly that it changes the one who beholds it. When specific moments and specific people and the specific curl of one lock of hair on the head of the beloved, when the specific wing of one bird and the specific light of one morning go unseen and unblessed in the flow from one moment to the next. Our greatest errors are not the way we manipulate or perform beauty, but all the beauty we do not even see as it passes us by. For indeed, such beauty is everywhere. There is no generalized beauty at all. There is no ideal form, no idea that contains it. There are only these specific moments we're given, these specific people around us, these specific in-breaking moments of grace, and so long as we encounter them and share them and expand them, we are part and parcel of saving the world. Beauty, it is said, animates life. It takes learning and logic and achievement, and it turns it into food for the soul. It changes the one who beholds it. So may we be saved and salved by our own encounters with the beautiful in the days and the weeks to come. We, who have seen so much, can still see beauty. And so long as this is true, we can still be transformed over and over and over again toward justice by grace into something closer to who we yearn to be. Thanks, Cliff. Thanks, as always, to our musicians, our music program, all the folks who make this possible. Among the people who make this possible are all of you. And there are so many ways to connect with what we do here in the life of our congregation. Even just today, right after this service, you can join Ken Button and perhaps other really smart people like our bylaws task force, like Steve, who are going to gather here right after the service to talk about our town hall meeting about the upcoming bylaws changes that we hope to vote on in our annual meeting in June. You can stay right here in the sanctuary, come with your questions, come curious, and to get a lot of great information from our folks who have been working tirelessly, haven't you, Steve Hartman, tirelessly at this important work. Also, you can make a day of it. Join for the town hall meeting at 11:15 after the service, and then at noon you can get right on Zoom. Use the free Wi-Fi here in the building for our Contemporary Issues Forum, in which our very own intern, Kirsten Lodel, will be sharing reflections on what it is to form as a minister, to fight poverty, to be a whole human while being in the world exactly as it is, and dreaming of ways in which that world might be more whole. We are also so very blessed. We are now 96% of the way to our stewardship goal, standing at $931,000. We are so grateful to every family, every individual that has contributed, everybody who's made calls in. Yes, we do kind of need that other 4%. And so if you have not pledged yet, you can do so now. You can hit the green button on the website. You can contact any of us. Ann Bradley's right here, as are various other members of our stewardship team. There's Sue. Let us know, and we would be happy to talk to you about what it means to give, not until it hurts, but until it feels good, for something that you believe deeply in your own heart. Finally, gratitudes. Our whole tech team here today, we've got Jeff, Scott, and Danny upstairs. Yay. We have Jan Elliker, who stepped in to do a solo at the very last minute because a lot of folks are sick right now and we needed your skill. And one final note of gratitude, Bob Wasser, longtime, deeply, deeply beloved River Roader, he is moving away to North Carolina to be nearer to family. Those of you who have known Bob over the years know that he is as steadfast and faithful a River Roader as you have ever met. He has probably been in many of your homes to fix your computers, and we are not entirely sure how we'll answer some of our computer questions when he leaves. But we know that this place is what it is because of you, Bob, and because you helped make it so, and we will miss you so much. Finally, as we prepare to take this light we have kindled out into the waiting world, may you go then to be who you already are. You are the beloved and precious children of everything that is sacred in this world. And the goodness and mercy, the joy and the justice, the power and the possibility of the Spirit are at loose in you and through you in the world. So go then to be who you already are, and may you be abundantly blessed. Amen.